All right, and thank you for joining us tonight for episode 17. I, of course, am James, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Beth. Beth, how are you this weekend?
Doing all right.
Yeah? Are you rested? No work today?
No work today. I didn't work today. I slept good. Got a deep rest. Woke up nice and early. 11 o'clock.
Nice. So nice and early. The birds peeping and all that jazz.
Yeah. But I'm good to go. How are you feeling today?
You know what? I'm doing okay. It's been a good weekend. I got to spend the day with my wife, and it's, I enjoy doing that. I know any time together is a pleasure. So, yay. So, all right. All right. Now, this episode is going to be sort of a makeup episode to Beth. If you listen to our previous episode on Something Wicked This Way Comes, you will already know what this is maybe about. You may know. Basically, Beth was very, very disenchanted with the movie. And even after we recorded the podcast, she went on about how disappointed she was with it. Even more so because I was excited for her to have watched it and had actually built it up as like this great movie.
Yeah.
Me personally, I still consider it a great movie. But, as she said in the podcast, Beth disagrees. Having wanted to give it a 0, but didn't in the event that another movie comes up and stinks worse, she wants that to be her 0. So, in the previous episode, Beth also brought up how she is not happy that we really have not done what she considers to be a true horror movie. I brought up that we did Fright Night, which to me is a horror movie, but she said that most of the genre that we go with, not so much horror. That being said, I decided that I would make it up to Beth this week by allowing her to choose the movie that we did, as well as allowing it to be a horror movie. So I figured a 2-for-1 deal.
Yeah.
So this week, we're going to be doing 13 Ghosts. And I'm sure that one of the first things people will say is that it's not an 80s movie, or heck, that's not even a 90s movie. And they would be right. However, we never said this is just an 80s or 90s specific show. So we do movies that are from the past, which includes all movies from the past.
Yeah, and I honestly, I thought this was older than what it turned out to be. I mean, this movie's only 2 years older than I am, and that was really surprising. Yep.
Now, if you're a Patreon, you know that we did a review of a movie from the 1950s, The African Queen. So, that would be way before her time. So we don't just stick with just 80s, 90s. Primarily we do because those are my favorite movies and those are the movies that I want her to watch. But we do skip around some. So, don't be too surprised. Nobody complained, nothing like that. I just really wanted to bring it up. One of the things that I do try to do to keep it as fluid is to review movies from before Beth was born. And that gives me a plethora of movies. So, and I mean, should a movie be, good enough for a review and it came out after you were born? I'm sure we could probably throw it in there.
Yeah, even before we, began this podcast and we were still coming up with ideas of what we were going to do, I even suggested one of my things would be to switch positions in a sense.
Yep.
And I'd be the one who requested a movie for him to watch that he hadn't seen, one of my own, favorite movies that I've seen through, or more my generation movies.
Right.
And just switch it up like that, and that could be a cool thing, but we got a long time before we started even, running out of movies.
Exactly. And, I mean, one of the things that came to mind when you said that was, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Right, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. That
movie is in the last couple of years, and, of course, it wouldn't fall into the before you're born, but I've never seen it.
Right.
So, for us to review that would be cool, and I think people would really appreciate it.
Yeah,
so.
Or Venom. Because, when I watched it for the first time, I came home and I talked about that movie for weeks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was...
On and on.
On and on. I watched a movie, I watched that in school, in my Latin class, and then came home and watched it again. But...
Cool.
It's a good movie.
So, yeah. So, again, no complaints, no nothing like that. I just wanted to bring it up and just say something, just in case anybody's kind of shocked when they see the title and they're like, wait a minute. That's what we do. But primarily, we do stick with 80s and 90s because that's the genre of the movies that she hasn't really seen that I want her to see and that I think would give us a really good review.
And also, to a degree, a lot of, I've said this before, I'm not someone who watches a lot of movies, so a lot of these are still a part of my childhood. 13 Ghosts is one of those movies that I watched when I was 4, and I have really vague memories of this movie. That's why I was so excited to watch this one again because, it's going to be a completely new experience. But there have been times where I'll come downstairs and there's stuff on the TV that I'll see and I'm like, oh, what are you watching? Oh, this movie. And now it's like, oh, that was a 90s movie. That was an 80s movie. That's stuff from the past.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to me to do this kind of stuff.
Right. Also, if you're in the bad parenting category, like I am, watching your 4-year-old watch rated R movies, then, email us at
I don't remember the rated R parts. When I say I remember parts, I remember the end of this movie and like the fact that, what's his name was in it from Scream?
Matthew Lillard.
Matthew, yeah. But the ending in my memory, that wasn't even correct. And I told you this before we even started recording, but I remember the ending being completely different. But we'll get into that. So.
Yeah, sure. All right. So 13 Ghosts was released October 26, 2001, and revolves around the family that has had recent tragedy, but now seems to have a stroke of luck when a recently deceased uncle leaves them his fortune. This includes a house that, while really awesome looking, is also really full of ghosts.
Yep.
The movie stars Tony Shalhoub, Shannon Elizabeth, and Matthew Lillard, along with the supporting cast. Now, at that time, you think Tony Shalhoub was on Monk, which was a TV show that was really big. He had like a germaphobe thing. Like he didn't want to touch anything. Like it was really a funny thing. I never watched it, but a lot of the people loved Monk. Shannon Elizabeth had been in, oh my gosh, it just not American Me. The one about this American Pie, and she was famous for that. And of course, like you said with Matthew Lillard, he had been in movies like Scream and that kind of stuff. So that's where those three really kind of came from to come together into this cast. And then the rest of everybody, they had their heres and theirs, but yeah, I'm not going to really bring them up.
Yeah.
The movie is billed as a supernatural horror film, and I believe that that's a fair rating for the movie. I think that really...
Supernatural, yeah.
Horror, yeah. The film eventually grossed over $68 million worldwide and had a budget of only $20 million. So I would consider that a success. Anytime that it doubles it, success. However, the film was not received well, with many stating that it lacked scares. That it really hurt the film, that it just wasn't as scary as they expected it to be. It also used effects that are reported to potentially cause seizures, so that's not good.
Which, that's fair. They do a lot of, and I mentioned something about that. They have a weird, like, filling thing that they do throughout the movie, where they just show the house, or, like, zooms in and then zooms out of certain things, and it was really strange to me, because there wasn't anything going on. It was just showing, like, different parts of the house, and I could see how that could be like that, so.
Yeah. As always, I'm not someone who lives by the reviews. If I did that, more than half the movies that I love, I would never have even bothered watching.
Oh, this got a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can see where people can look at this movie and completely pick it apart. That would be easy to do, but would they be able to do that with any movie?
Yeah.
I think. The fact that it was rated R, though, and still gross as much as it did, says something for the film. I mean, we all know that the studios clamor for that coveted PG-13 rating that they can get. And, so they can get that kid money.
Right.
And for them to still have made as much money as they did with it being rated R really does say something for the movie, in my opinion. All right. So, Beth, your initial impression of what the movie was going to be like?
So, like I said, this was a movie from my childhood. One of the, couple things I've glanced at. So I had a really good impression going into it. So I was excited to do this one. Like I said, it got a 16% on the Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.6 out of 10 on the IMDb. So it is what it is. But I would just like to say that I absolutely love horror movies. I am deadly afraid of so many things, and you'd think that someone who's afraid of so much wouldn't like horror movies. But a big part of my childhood was horror movies.
Yeah.
For a good while, the only movies that we'd see would be when you and Mom would rent those DVDs off of Netflix. They come in those little packages. They still do.
Yeah.
And we get really excited because you would let us watch with you guys for the most part, and you guys would tear it open. We'd try to see what it was, and then you would pop it in. And most of the time, it was horror movies. I mean, most of the times I can remember. And even one summer, my siblings and I sat around the television during the day and spent the whole afternoon just scrolling through the Netflix horror genre and just watching as much as we could. So I kind of developed this taste for horror movies because you have a lot of the same repeated stuff. I mean, Ghost has been done 100 times,
Right.
So So going into this, I have a way I see these things. Like I talked about this before, creepy, different. My definition of scary isn't like it's just different. Like if you're gonna market something a certain way, it needs to be that way. Like we talked about the Babadook. And that how like was portrayed as a horror jumpy type movie when in fact it was more of a psychological movie. So if you market something one way, it better end up being that way is how I feel about that. And I was so mad about that movie. But I've also mentioned that horror is a broad spectrum of things. You have, I mean, if the whole movie is just loud noises and bangs, it's not really a good movie to me. I'm not impressed. And, if the music is what's scary, I'm not impressed. Because, some movies have, like, amazing soundtracks that are really just, like, scary. But
for sure.
If that's what's doing it, I'm not impressed. But if you can make me really anxious or truly unsure what's going to happen next, that's a good movie to me.
I got you.
It's scary in that way, like, making me fear go to sleep at night kind of thing. That's just the things I look for when watching horror films.
I got you.
I mean, like, when we watched Chucky when I was, like, 7... I was like, oh gosh, my dolls, are they gonna kill me?
Right.
I couldn't look at Toy Story the same. So, and Andy's not my friend in this one. So, I mean, that was a good, to me, horror film. And as a kid, before we started watching this, I was like, yeah, a horror movie, this is gonna be scary. But like the review said, honestly, it wasn't there for me in the end. It wasn't really...
And this was your pick. You better be hyped.
No, I was hyped. I'm not saying that it's not a good movie. It's just not a horror movie to me. Like, it's supernatural, sure, but it's not my top pick horror. This is what's scary. It's more creepy.
So, have you seen the original Poltergeist? You haven't seen.
Yes, I have.
You have seen.
Yeah,
the
I watched that
original
at school.
Do you consider that a horror movie?
I can't remember. I want to make this really known. I'm really bad with memory stuff when it comes to like certain things I can remember really well when they're simple, but like I'm really bad with names and like plots. So Poltergeist, I watched at school because I was incredibly bored towards the end. I watched it this year, I think back in January, so not even that long ago.
Yeah.
I remember it being like.
And you're talking about the original, not the remake, right?
No. Where the things on the counter and it melts off and everything? Yeah. The meat. But I can't remember. Because my brain kind of does this thing where, like, when it tries to remember something I can't for sure think about, it, like, mushes things together.
Huh.
We talked about this before where I remembered things wrong and thought, oh, I thought this was this movie. I can't remember which movie it was in, but we did that. But is that the one where there's, like, skeletons in the backyard?
Yes.
Okay, then yes, I've seen that. And she, like, falls in, and then, yeah.
We're going to review that one.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to do that one. But I want to do more horror movies because I like talking about different scary movies like this and, like, nitpicking things and...
Gotcha. What's
horror? Well, I mean, what do you look for when you find horror movies? What's a good movie to you, horror-wise?
I like a good... Poltergeist would be what I would consider a horror movie because it's not just the scary part of it, it's the whole kit and caboodle of it, to me. The mental part of it, I mean, at one point, and we'll talk about it, the doctor's like, all this could just end at any moment. And at that point in time, their daughter would be gone. I mean, they wouldn't even have a chance to try and save it. And having that kind of anxiety of not knowing what's going to happen. I mean, man, there's just like, you never know what's going to happen next. If it's going to be physical, is it going to be on the ethereal plane? Is it going to be something falling through the ceiling? Is meat going to come forward? What meat? Am I going to peel off my... I don't know. I mean, the damn hallway stretches out to a crazy length, and then you almost get sucked up and there's a throat in the closet. Yeah. There's madness going on in this movie the entire time. And even when you think it's safe, it's not safe. It's not safe. No. And why would you... And just so being able to kick up my anxiety, having a really good story, having a really good backstory, and then making me be able to put myself into that position as... I know, believable.
Right.
I mean, like this, and it's just happening to them. It's just in their house. They go next door and they ask them, you have any this, that, or the other that happens? They're like, no.
No, yeah.
We don't have any of that stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, great. It's just us. It's just our house. We're all alone in this. And that's terrifying. And then again, I mean, we're going to do it. I'm going to watch that movie. And to see it from the dad's perspective, you know, of these are your kids, not just being the kid that gets attacked by the clown, but and then I don't.
A movie that comes to mind is Insidious.
Oh, that's a
that
bad
movie,
one too.
When I was a kid, terrified me absolutely. However, rewatched it earlier this year as well. I was on a real bind with watching horror movies, a real kick. That didn't scare me as much.
Really,
it was actually kind of boring.
When they cut and the thing standing in the corner and points. At
the red thing that will forever terrify me. But the actual movie itself, meh.
Really,
yeah. But I do like the feeling, like being anxious and not truly not knowing what's going to happen next, because I'm the kind of person who flips to the last page of a book to find the ending. I like to look things up. I want to know who dies and when, so I don't get too attached. I'm just overly emotional with it, and so I'd like to know, like, oh, what's an example?
Biscuit.
No, Biscuit doesn't die.
Blue dog.
When I watched Marley and Me, that's really started me up not trusting people. I just don't like. Sometimes I'll really just wait, and with certain books that are really good, and then they kill my favorite character, and I put down the book for like 2 weeks, and then I come outside, and I'm like, you're not gonna believe this, Dad. They killed him. They killed Jimothy, and you're like, I don't know who that is.
Right.
And I'm just like crying. I'll come downstairs and I'll be really sad. Like I when I finished, this was recent, Adventure Time finally.
Yeah.
And I came downstairs like, everybody died. I'm so angry.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Well, not everybody dies, but everyone who was not immortal died. but yeah. So with horror movies, I like that you can't do that unless the movie's already been out.
I don't mind unexpected endings as well. Like if there's some crazy plot twist thing at the end, that really does it. Like, see, sometimes you have to watch out and cross over to like psychological thriller versus horror. Like Devil's Advocate's not really a horror movie. It's more of a psychological thriller, but that's a crazy. I mean, there's stuff going on in there, and the ending is just like, what? And the way that it ends, I mean, it's madness.
I know you've never seen it, but those who have seen The Boy, they actually they made a sequel to it recently. I haven't seen it yet, but that I would consider that one also a psychological movie. But unlike The Babadook, which I'll reference always, it was marketed as like a horror movie,
right?
But it ended up being a horror movie.
Right.
There's a major plot line in the end where it's like, oh, you've just messed me up entirely. My whole system was out the door. You know, my
I actually
spine
looked
came
up
out.
the end and watched that.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Were you shocked?
I was like, oh.
Because it really makes you think that it was going to be one way, and then it's completely the other the entire time. Like, you really just, like, that. The ending for me wasn't even something that was in my mind as a possibility, and that's what I love about that movie.
Yeah.
It was completely shocking.
Yeah, there were some people that were at work that were talking about it in the end, blah, 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 and I was like, oh. And so I just went ahead and watched it, and I was like, oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's really a way to do it. There's another one that I want to watch, and I can't remember the name of it. It came out like last year or the year before, and the storyline with it, this lady, she has a baby and something about the baby. It's not Rosemary's Baby, but it's kind of like a Rosemary's Baby type situation. And it's all these people are coming to the house, and there's madness going on like the whole time. And then it's like, it's kind of like The Others. I don't know if you ever saw The Others. It's a really good movie, but it's not a horror. I mean, like they put it off as if it's like a horror movie type thing, but really it's a psychological thriller. And then at the end, you see what's going on, and you're like, "Oh,
yeah."
I would not have expected that to be what was going on, but that's what's going on. So, not so much a horror, more of a psychological thriller.
See, and the difference with it, like, yes, I love that, like I just said with The Boy, but in The Babadook, the entire time there's no horror part of it. Nope. Have you ever seen? Did you watch The Conjuring 2?
I don't think we did.
It's with the English girls and the mom, and then it's all going crazy. I think it takes place before the first one.
No, we only watched the first
one. Well, there's
a
scene in that with the Candyman, and he like comes alive, because that was really weird. But they were reading the book, and that scene terrified me because he's really creepy, and he was all like crawly and twisted.
Yeah.
If you're crawly and twisted, please don't come near me.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that like scare me more than other things, of course. Like throw spiders in the mix. I'm not gonna like it.
When people move like contorted-ishy,
yeah.
like the ring and
Yes.
stuff like that, like that really usually bothers me.
Bothers
I don't
me.
like when there's that. See, again, Event Horizon it's a space movie, but it's also about, it's where they find out that it goes through a wormhole, and when it comes back, but the crew is all dead or missing and everything like that, and they don't know what happened. They're trying to figure out what happened, and they find out what happened, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
And there's madness that have happened. I guess I would consider that a horror film, and that's kind of a film that I would definitely be like, I mean, it's scary. It was scary stuff going on in there.
Space is really weird with me because the one Ryan Reynolds did, Life, I think it was called.
Yeah.
They go out in space and they have the little alien thing, and then goes around and kills everybody on the ship.
Right.
So I think that's a relatively newer movie.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that back in January as well on my horror thing because that's a movie I've been wanting to watch for a long time, but it wasn't really scary to me. What's that one movie where there's an alien on board and it goes through and kills everybody as well? It's like the same kind of thing.
Alien.
Is it Alien? Oh my gosh, is that actually that movie?
I wanted to, you know how the other ones are like.
Yeah, right.
Alien. I don't know. Sorry.
Oh, geez.
You were saying it goes through and kills everybody.
Right, but I mean, I didn't know that was Alien. I thought that was something else. But I mean, that was scarier to me than the Ryan Reynolds one. You know?
Yeah.
There's certain things you have to touch on in horror films, and some movies, they just don't do that very well for me. They try to go for more of the boo factor.
Right.
And the boo factor doesn't do it for me much.
The thing about Alien was that it messed with your head, and they didn't really want to show the alien too much because they didn't want everybody thinking, oh, it's just a guy in a giant rubber suit. You know, they really, it came out of the darkness. It would get you.
Yeah,
then,
like snatched them up there.
Yeah, and then you were just yanked and then dead.
What's the movie where it was kind of like that? You know that one scene where they're getting smushed? There's another movie that I'm thinking of that I almost wanted to say. I thought there was a girl in that movie. I want to say it was the same movie that I thought was in this movie, but they are getting smushed in the walls, and it's like enclosing metal walls, and then you have the
cube.
Where
they have to keep going to different rooms?
I don't know. I can't remember. I just remember it was maybe.
No, that's just a cube.
It just showed me Rubik's Cube. That's not what I wanted.
No.
No.
That was a really weird movie, and they made sequels to it and stuff like that. I've watched some of them, and it's really, really, really confusing.
This makes me think of that game show.
Oh, yeah.
That was scary.
I can't remember I thoued about that movie.
You know, sometimes I remember the name of it, and then sometimes I can't.
Yeah, they ended it. Solitaire.
Solitary, yeah.
Yep,
that movie.
Your mom and I really liked that show.
I would come downstairs and I had to go back to my room because it scared me.
It gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
Just thinking of being in that little space like
and
that.
Unable,
and stuff like
you can't talk to anybody else.
Just nothing, and you don't know time. They messed you don't know how many days you've been in there, and yeah, and then they give me milk. No milk.
Yeah, no milk.
No milk.
Well, anyways.
All right. So it was a good intro. I think that was a good setup. A good setup.
You know, if we do more, we'll do more horrors in the future. Like I haven't really ever seen Scream, but that's one of the ones I want to do, and you know, we can base, like I said, with our first movie.
I think Scream came out in 1999. I want to say.
In the interview we did, she asked us if we wanted to do a different first starter movie. So I guess this could be our first horror movie, and we'll base everything else off that when we go through. So.
Yeah, and to plug it, if you guys want to hear an interview with us, we did an interview with a lady named Leslie Fear, and it's called Because I Want to Know is her podcast. She's newer, and it was great.
Yeah, it was.
Beth and I, we had a great time. About a half hour long, not too long. She's interviewing a whole bunch of other people too. Definitely recommend. I recommend that one over there. So, yeah. Just to throw that out there.
Yep.
So.
Well, trailer impression. Let's start with the trailer. We haven't even gotten past that yet. I gave the trailer a 3 out of 5. because, we've mentioned that over time things are repeated and it's hard to get a new concept in when it comes to movies. So when watching the trailer, it was interesting because, yeah, it's ghosts, but it's also got a weird spin on it because it kind of involves the supernatural, the magical, technological side to it. And the trailer was interesting enough to make me want to watch it. So would I watch based on the trailer? Yes. The DVD art and the poster art, I think, were the same thing.
With the screaming face?
Yeah.
Like yellow.
I would watch it based on that. Like I said, I really love horror movies. So if me and my friends were going to the movies and that was the poster for it, I'd be like, yeah, let's go see that. But all my friends are wimps, so they probably wouldn't want to go see it.
We want to watch Bambi.
Yeah,
Bambi's horrible.
Watch Bambi.
We'll watch his mother get shot. Your mother can't be with you anymore.
No, I don't really like Bambi, so.
Me either.
No.
Boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, you heard it here first. Boring. No, thank you.
Nope.
I don't
Stop
care about
running in
the
front
deer.
of my cars.
And P.S. Bambi.
Yeah.
Why would you name the deer Bambi? Have you ever met a guy named Bambi?
Yes.
I thought it was a girl deer until he grew antlers in the spring and was getting Twitter pated. And then I was all, oh. And he met Faylene and they all fell in love.
I don't remember their names.
I do.
I was just mad in the sequel because I watched part 2. It was really bored. And I watched the second 2.
Bambi fights
and
back.
And it was really confusing. Bambi fights back. He and Thumper really get into it. Thumper dies.
Oh, no, shut up. I'm not believing you. You can't remember your name. Tell me that Thumper dies.
True.
All right. So, one nice thing about this movie is that it jumps right into the action.
Oh, yeah.
We open on a junkyard covered in police caution tape, which I thought was kind of weird.
Well, I think it's because so many people have died there.
Yeah.
Which he mentions later on. He said, 9 people died here. It's more like 40.
Yeah.
So
trucks come crashing through the gate, and we look to be a team setting up for something. A very nice old-timey car pulls up as well, and 2 men get out, one holding his head in pain, saying that he has to get out of there now. The man with a cane says no, and asks the other man called Dennis to find someone. So he's like, you find him, is what he's saying. So Dennis puts his hand to the ground and psychically sees a bunch of death scenes that the person that they're looking for committed. Something like 40 when he was told, like you said, it was only going to be like 9.
Yeah.
So like he sees like horrible stuff going on. The man with the cane says to bring in the box, and a large box made of glass is brought into the location that Dennis states the person they're looking for is in. A car is chucked at them, and Dennis is freaked out. But the man with the cane just complained and said he hates being rushed. That's what he says. So he's like, I hate being rushed. So he's really pompous.
Yeah.
The whole time. 2 people show up that look to be in protest of what they're doing. One of them is named Kalina, and she spits in the man with the cane's face. The man that is with her says that he will never pull it off without the right spells and the 13th ghost. So that kind of alludes to
a little
the 13th
foreshadowing.
ghost. Yeah. Excuse me. Dennis is curious about what he is hearing and asks the man with the cane, who was named Cyrus, we find out, about the 13th ghost. And he was only contracted to help catch 12, and that after tonight he was done. So Cyrus says to lay the bait, which a truck full of blood comes in and like sprays all over the place.
Yeah,
like,
it's awful.
And then he says, power up the box. A spell in a different language, which I think is Latin.
Latin, yeah, which is never a good sign.
No. If it's a horror movie and Latin's playing, you need to leave.
Yeah, you need to head out.
But that begins to play over the speaker, and everyone puts on special glasses and starts to look around. Cyrus yells, come, come, come. And dudes on the team start getting murked out in ugly ways. Like, folded
brutal.
in half.
Yeah, that was sucked into the car.
Yeah, and cars
Awful.
slammed on top of them. They see this giant dead-looking man walking towards them who is slamming everyone around. He chases a man into the box that was powered up and slams him around, but he's trapped inside. Dennis then hears a woman screaming, and it's Kalina, holding her partner as he lay dying. Dennis also sees that it looks as though Cyrus has suffered a neck injury and is dead as well. So, quite the intro.
Yep. Yeah. Really throws a lot at you at once.
Yeah, I thought a lot of good information. A lot of you kind of see what's happening, but at the same time, a little rushed.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, I mean, like, of course, for the review, I'm paying a heck of a lot more attention now than ever did at movies. And I'm like, man, I really need to pay a little bit more. And I'm actually somebody who kind of fashioned myself as someone who pays attention to detail on movies. With the music and everything like that. Like, I'm always paying attention to that kind of stuff.
A lot of the trailer was the first bit. Like, a lot of the trailer was in the junkyard.
Really?
Yeah. That's why, like, it was so much that I was like, oh, was this a bigger thing than I remember it being? Because I remember that I didn't even really remember it that well, the first part.
Yeah.
Because at first I thought it was at the end, like they escaped into the junkyard.
Oh.
But no.
Not so much.
So I was like, oh, wow, okay. And it wasn't even that long of being this. I was like, that's a lot for just the trailer. But then if you think about the movie, really, there's not a lot of substance. It's pretty much straightforward to the point with what's going on.
Right.
So with the trailer, you don't want to give too much away to the trailer, because if you basically tell the whole movie with the trailer, who's going to want to go see it?
Yeah, see, I really think that with the trailer, they were trying to, again...
But did you watch it?
No.
No.
No, but what I'm saying is, if that's what they did, then they were really pushing Matthew Lillard. I'm sure that he probably appeared heavily
That's fair.
in the preview, and that's because of his Scream fame.
Yes.
And then they probably showed a little bit of Monk, and then they showed a little bit of what's her name, the girl that plays Kathy in the movie. Probably not too much, but just enough for you to be like, oh, she's in this. Oh, I like her. So.
Yep. Hold up, just gotta change Kathy's name because I put it down wrong. Because I couldn't remember what it was.
Oh yeah, the daughter's name is Kathy.
Yeah, I thought it was Mary. I couldn't remember. She really didn't play a big part.
No, well, in the movie that she had come from, American Pie, she played a foreign exchange student who didn't really even speak that much English. She had a really weird part in that movie too. So we're not reviewing American Pie.
No, it doesn't sound that good.
For the time it was. And if you saw, like, all the people that are in it, there's a lot of people that came out and were in a lot of that time, like the next 5 years movies. Anyway.
Well, cool. Next we get shown like another second thing of intro credits, but the movie is still playing.
Yep.
Which is nice.
Yep, we fade to black on that scene, and it opens with some kids playing in the backyard as a couple watches them play.
Yeah.
Basically, this is the credit roll. We overhear a fire taking place in the house and find...
which I thought was really cool how they showed that. How they showed, like, they just spinned around the same room. Spun around the same room. Which was really... It was really... I like when things like that happen. Because the attention to detail with stuff like that is really cool.
Right, you went from all nice and happy to not so much when it got back to him. But the fire's taking place, and the kids and the father made it out, but the mother did not. We then hear a flatline indicator and a funeral taking place for the wife and mother. Her name is Jean. Now where it is a happy home, they look to be in a crappy apartment, and the dad is just lost looking. Like, he's just sitting, he looks like the old man at the beginning of Up. when he's looking over at the chair.
That's rough. I've never seen you watch that movie.
I can't. That'll break my heart, man. I can't watch that. I watched that part. I genuinely have seen the very beginning of it. And I said...
That's like halfway through the movie.
It's not halfway through the movie. Well, whatever. Okay.
Because he's in the house, and that's when the whole thing... That's later on.
It shows them as little kids, and then this, and then she's gone. And he's looking. That's why he decides to do the whole Up thing. And I said, oh my gosh, this is... terrible. I'm not watching the rest of it. I don't even care. And I want to write Disney and say, dear Disney, kill Bambi. But don't do this to me. You just wrecked me. This is... I can't even.
It was a lot.
I can't even. It kills me. The daughter looks to have taken the role of the mother, while the son now has an unhealthy obsession with talking about the dead and death. He does like a little recording. Like, he has like a little podcast thing going on where he records himself talking about death and everything like that.
It's really cool.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's what I thought about it. I was like, oh, look at this flettling podcast.
I even wish that came more into play later on with the little box thing because it could do the ghost box.
I thought it was going to,
Yeah.
and then I was like, did I not remember this about the movie that comes up? But it doesn't.
It doesn't. No.
I think the only thing that is so that he can pick it up and hear him.
The mom, yeah.
That he can hear the kid screaming later on when he plays it back. He rewinds it and plays it, and he hears the kid. Yeah, the dad finds it.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about when he's down in the basement.
No.
No, okay. I don't know. I didn't really like the family dynamic here, honestly.
Yeah.
I remember this movie. When we go through this, I'll tell you what I remember. I remember it being a group of friends that went into the house, and then a lot of them dying, and that might have been me mixing up the one with the other movie I'm talking about. Where they
House on Haunted Hill.
You can't say name. I don't know what that is. House on Haunted Hill.
House on Haunted Hill literally came out the year before this, or a year or two before it.
This came out in 1995. 1959.
No, it was a remake, kid.
Oh, remake. 1999 then.
Yeah, 1999. I wonder.
Yes. Yes, I think this is what I'm thinking of, actually.
I bet you are.
Wish scene.
I don't know if there's a scene where anybody gets squished.
Then that might not be completely what I'm thinking of.
Maybe you're thinking also of...
But it's this dude.
I wonder if you're thinking of... oh my gosh, what are those... One of the movies that...
It's a corridor, or almost, and it's like stone walls, and they're freaking out. I want to say he's with another girl in there, and they're together, and they're freaking out trying to stop it, and it just kills him. Or like when the girl escapes, but he can't get out in time, and so he dies. Something like that.
Man, I don't know, but that sounds awesome.
It was a really good something, and I can't think of the name. Maybe somebody will help me out again, like they did with the banana thing. So,
for a second, I thought you were talking about Final Destination. One of the Final Destination, but it's none of the Final Destination.
Those movies stress me out.
I like those movies because to me, I put them in the same category as Nightmare on Elm Street.
Every time I go to a mall and I'm on the escalator, I freak out. Or if we're driving over a bridge and it's trafficy, I freak out.
Well, that's how I am every time that I see one of a truck carrying logs. I'm like, well, that's gonna come through here, and
kill us.
I'm gonna die.
I don't like thinking about those movies too much.
Yeah.
I'm so mad I can't think of it because it was.
Man, I don't know, man. I can't think of it. I definitely have seen some Squish movies, but I can't think of what you're talking about. I thought maybe it was House on Haunted Hill. So,
Well,
there's also a lady named Maggie who seems to be a pretty prominent fixture in the home.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah. The dad trips over a scooter and yells at the son, Bobby, I think is his name, and the daughter, Kathy, said, if we had a bigger place, this wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I don't really like this whole thing because, you think your mom died. And the mom always seemed really nice when they showed her.
Yeah.
Like a really sweet woman. You think that the rest of the family would be like that.
Yeah.
But they're really just awful people. Like, they don't get along at all. The one, Kathy, is in her own world being a jerk. The dad's really trying for his family. Like, he's really there.
He's doing what he can.
Yeah, and then you got the Robert obsessed with the dead, who was weird. I liked Maggie. She was funny, but I didn't understand why she was there the entire time.
Didn't either until the very ending. That's when I found out who she was.
Well, they say it multiple times.
We'll talk about it in the movie.
Oh, okay.
The dad response is he's doing the best that he can for now and seems sad for yelling at them. So then a man knocks at the door. The dad says it's a lawyer that introduces himself as Ben Moss. He says he represents his Uncle Cyrus, and it turns out that he is the same Cyrus from the junkyard. Cyrus says that through a little video that he plays, he's leaving him the fruit of his life's work, his home. They ask when they can see the house, and Ben says anytime you would like to. So they seem to decide to go that night. Like, they literally seem like they hop in the car and they're like, yeah, we need to go because...
Which is funny because he was, like, on his way to work.
Yeah.
And
I thought that's what he was getting ready for.
Didn't go, I guess.
Yeah, right. We're going to go see this house instead. We also see that Kalina, who was at the junkyard, is getting she has an extensive amount of research on the dead, looking to get ready to blow something up is what it looks like she's doing.
I like this scene.
Did you?
Yeah, because it's so much in one little thing, but it shows so much about her character.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they show the obituary of the Cyrus dude.
Yeah.
And it's got the guy, the lawyer's name on it. So I like the attention to detail. They're like, oh, when his lawyer, Ben Moss, found him.
Oh.
So I like that.
Ah. So that's okay. Gotcha. So yeah, even more of a setup.
Yep.
She also grabs a tape labeled calling spell. The family arrives at the house, which is made of glass, with writing all over in a strange language, which again is Latin. When they get there, Dennis is posing as someone from the electric company, saying he needs to get into the house. The father, Arthur, says that Dennis can come in and check what he needs to check.
Like the breaker.
And puts the key in the door, which seems to bring the house to life, which I thought was pretty cool.
I do if you were like, hey, we're going to go check up this house, we're probably going to move here because it's a nice house and everything, and we roll up and it's all glass like this with weird writing on the wall, I'm not going in.
I feel you on that.
Honestly, no.
I don't have time for that kind of weirdness.
No.
And I would be like,
it's all glass?
It's all glass? I'm going to have to buy a lot of curtains.
Yeah, a lot of curtains.
Like the bedrooms were glass.
Yes.
I give it that the bathroom seemed to be actually covered.
I would probably spend all my time in the bathroom because at least it was covered. No. People have like beach houses that always seem really nice because all the glass and no. That says, let me come into your house and mug you. That's what that says.
Right. Look how posh our life is. Cool. I'm going to come take it from you.
I'm going to come take it from you.
Yeah,
exactly.
I feel the same way. I do. I don't like
glass
big
like
glass
that.
like that.
No.
Even when we drive through some of our neighborhood and I see people with giant windows and I can see
it's all open or the doors open and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, close it up.
I see what you're
doing. I'm gonna come rob you.
I'm gonna come just for measure.
Just because.
Yep. Just because.
I'm spiteful. You got nice plants. They're mine now.
Taking Bob the plant.
Bob the plant.
You're mine.
I'm really bad with plants as well. So it would not be going to a good home.
Well, your little tongue thing's living.
Yes, but sometimes I sit on my bed and I look over at it and I'm like, what if I just don't water you for 2 months?
Our contest winner, Jody Sullivan, sends us update pictures of her little
They grow
plant.
really fast.
It's growing and she's got a little life in there and everything like that. Yeah.
It's very cool. I keep all my dead plants, though.
In memoriam?
Yeah, in memoriam. I have a couple little planter things. They're on my bookshelf. I look over at them, and I'm like, Because I keep... Sometimes I go and like water them.
Oh, my God.
Because I'm like...
What a sickie.
Maybe you'll come back to me. They're not coming back.
They're not coming. You're just watering the dirt.
No. You remember that cactus I got? And it, like, imploded on itself? It, like, deflated.
Well, I didn't know that.
It did.
Oh, my God.
I was really sad about it. I had to throw it away, and I was like...
That's so sad.
Ugh.
I'm so sad for you.
I don't have a green thumb. I have
black thumb.
Black thumbs. Tar. I have the thumb of death. I'm the Grim Reaper of plants.
Oh.
They go to the store and they're like,
so sad.
No!
Please don't pick me.
Don't pick me.
So with lights, you can literally see through the house, which is really weird, as we just discussed. Maggie makes a joke about not doing windows. She said, Miss Maggie, don't do windows. While the family looks around the house. Dennis finds that there is a serious issue with what the house has, and comes clean with Arthur about who he is and what his relationship was to Cyrus. He explains about the ghost. And he tells Arthur that he needs to get his family out of the house immediately. So the lawyer's like, posh, what you talking about, ghost, blah, blah, blah.
But didn't you go down, you went down in the basement
Right,
first,
he went down and saw
all the ghosts.
and he's like, no, we got to...
really important.
Yeah.
And saw that they were locked up and had a big, like, seizure thing, and then came back up and was like, you guys, you need to get your kids outside.
Yep.
So...
Yep. Well, I was giving that to you to talk about.
Oh, but that was after that.
Yeah.
I mean, before.
Before that.
So.
The kids and Maggie are loving the house, but Dennis can see that all of the spirits that he has caught are there. So that's bad juju. So I guess I told that out of order. Either way.
Yeah. And then he's freaking out furthermore.
Yep.
And that's when he goes over and touches him.
Yep.
And we're shown that he has an ability to get everything he knows for people as well.
Yep. Arthur touches Dennis and he catches flashes of what happened to Jean, his wife.
Yep. Which at first I was like, oh, that's weird that you're not going to say anything about that. Why wouldn't you say anything about...
And then you find out why.
But Yeah.
Yeah, while Arthur was tending to Dennis, the lawyer snuck off to grab a briefcase full of money that activates the house to shut up trapping. And it
locks the house up, pretty much.
it ends up trapping everybody inside, including the lawyer.
Which is like one of those Andy Rubberg machines or whatever. You remember when we talk about that?
Yeah, the Rube whatever.
Rubberg machine, whatever.
Yeah, Rube Goldberg.
Rube Goldberg. I can't say it.
It's funny because the lawyer is able to see the ghost as if he's been there before, and he gives
really
them a hard time.
Yeah, I was giving him a real hard time,
Yep.
and that kind of backfired at him.
Yeah, after he sets the house in motion, the trapdoor for the blood-covered girl is opened, and she is released, stalking him with a knife.
Yeah.
Looks as though she's about to stab him, but then the door closes and slices him directly in half.
Some really powerful doors.
Like, slide down the glass
Yeah.
and see inside in half. It's
Which is
pretty
really
graphic
cool.
and awesome at the same time.
I thought at first it was just like was on the side of his head, and like
Yeah.
he was just holding them there, so he couldn't run anywhere.
Nah.
And the girl was gonna kill him.
Yeah.
But no, then he just slide down. I like gruesome to a degree, and that was pretty good.
That was a good degree.
Yeah.
There's a movie called The Cell. Jennifer Lopez is in it.
I don't know who that is.
It's
I do, but I don't know. I told you I'm not good with names. The Cell. 2000.
That's it. And this is a psychological. What year did that come out?
This looks weird. 2000.
See,
This looks really odd.
dude, this movie. So basically, what it is that she's doing a. Look at that part. Ugh, that's his gut. She's doing a.
Oh gosh.
She's part of an experimental treatment for people that have mind issues, where she goes into your mind, or she pulls you into her mind, while you guys are both like in this little trancey type thing. They use this medication, and basically she's trying to work with like kids that are in comas or people that are in coma. They try and get them to wake up and stuff like that. And
That's cool.
there's a serial killer that has somebody trapped, and he has a mental breakdown. So they bring him there so she can bring him into her mind to try and figure out go into his mind to see if he can figure out where this girl is at. But while she's in there, his world is messed up. And the reason I bring it up is because there's this part with this horse, and this glass comes down and drops on the horse. All these glasses, the same exact way it does with the lawyer, and then it separates out. The horse is still alive.
Oh,
And she walks in between the horse, and you can see like the beating heart and stuff like that. Dude, this movie is messed up. So, but very cool.
yeah, it does sound like a really interesting concept.
It really
I
was.
mean.
I don't think it did really well. Because
It looks
I think
really
it was
freaky.
way beyond people's conception.
Yeah.
I think they were
That'll
expecting one
happen.
thing, and then it was just, again, a movie that was billed one way, but it was more psychological than anything. Really freaky. So, anyway, after the guy gets cut in two, the girl ghost hears Arthur yelling for the kids and disappears. We find Arthur and Dennis looking for the kids who have started exploring the house. We see the ghost girl looking in the bathroom mirror as Kathy is doing the same thing, but doesn't kill her, which I thought was a little
I thought that
weird.
was really weird. So at first, my thought with this was that it was a like she hated men type deal. And so she was like, "Oh well, I'll spare the girl." I kind of see myself in her, being this pretty girl. 'Cause she goes up to the mirror as well and starts like stroking her hair, and then she just settles to go in the bathroom until Kathy goes over and starts messing with the faucet. It was like really weird. She kept splashing her face. It was very strange to me. Like, have you never seen water before?
Right.
And then the girl's like, "Okay, I'm gonna kill you because you're in my space. Get out of my bathtub," type deal. So
Yeah. Instead, she gets in the bathtub. And Kathy opens the curtain, and the dead girl's in there with "I'm sorry" written in blood on the floor.
yeah, but I liked how that was.
Yeah.
because they kept flashing between the two.
Right, you couldn't see
And it was cool to see like it was like a ghost world.
Yeah.
So it was nice that it was like stuff like that, which I wish they had done more.
Yeah, that would have been
Because it
cool.
seemed to only be that one scene.
You're right.
Because when you put the glasses on, you can see like the Latin on the floor and everything.
Yep.
But that was like it, except for when you were in the bathroom, there was blood everywhere. It was kind of like her room.
Yeah.
Deal. So I wish the other rooms had stuff like that.
Yeah, Kathy opens the curtain and the dead girl is in there with "I'm sorry," like I said, written on the floor. And Kathy's washing her face with the water from the tub, and it starts to flow like blood, and it looks as though she's about to get stabbed out. But her father bangs on the door and interrupts it. Arthur asks where Bobby is, and Kathy says she's with Maggie, but then turns out to be wrong because Maggie shows up alone. She's like, "Oh, we were
with
through.
me." Yeah,
Right. I'm like, and then that's Arthur also makes a comment about that's what I'm paying you for.
right.
So I'm guessing Maggie is some kind of child counselor or a babysitter.
I think in the first scene when they were talking about it, and like when I was like talking about the dysfunctionalness,
Yeah.
I think they mentioned that you like be nice to the babysitter.
Okay.
You said something like that.
I just thought it was really weird that she was there with curlers in her hair and everything like that. Like she lived there.
It seemed like she was like,
but it's a really small apartment. So do we have a 4-bedroom small little kitchen apartment? And I was thinking maybe she was like loving the fact that they had a bath because maybe she only had like a stand-up shower, so she was really happy to have a bathtub again or something like that.
It just seemed like one of those things where you had to have a certain amount of people in the movie, so you're like, oh well, how are we gonna get this other person incorporated into it? And make her a babysitter.
I thought so. She's gonna die.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Because you're extra, you're not quite in the family.
No, she's funny and she's a little bit extra. And
yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, you're gonna die.
Yeah. So, yeah. Like I was saying with Maggie, I thought she was just a good friend of Maggie's actually before, but when I watched it before, but no.
Of Mary's.
Kathy. Yeah.
Kathy.
I thought Maggie was a friend of Kathy's because they look to be the same age, and we'll talk about that a little bit later too. But yeah, so I was like, well, whatever. We then find Bobby's on his scooter and another trap door goes off. He hears a voice calling his name downstairs, telling him to come downstairs, but then he also hears a voice telling him not to come downstairs. It was both happening at the same time. If you listen, there's a voice calling him closer. He thinks it's Maggie and Kathy playing tricks on him, but there's also a voice that's going on and saying, don't come down here. Go back upstairs. Yeah. Blah blah blah. Don't. So
that's when I was like, here. Oh, the mother's got to be here somewhere.
Yep.
Type deal. It would have been cool to me. I was just thinking if they did something kind of like because if you think about the characters, it would be cool if they did something like Waxwork, where they had to like fill in for the for the ghost.
Yeah.
Over time switch back out because remember like when they were showing the books and it had the different people on it, they didn't look like how they did in the thing, like the actual ghost.
Right.
It was just like, oh, this is what it has to be, fill in the thing. So it'd be cool because Bobby could have been the firstborn son, or Mary could have been, or Kathy could have been the princess.
I got you.
So just
right. They're filling in those spots as
that would have been interesting.
I got you. No, that's cool when you think about it that way too.
Yeah. Because that would make, because you could have done a thing where him wanting his nephew to be like the 13th ghost and everything.
Right.
So that's why the mom died and became the one ghost and everything.
We're not there yet.
Well, she died. She's a ghost in the house.
But we're not there yet. Okay. Arthur finds that the front door is now sealed, and Dennis tells them that there is no way out. Arthur gives Dennis a lecture about helping him find his son. And Maggie asked if the lawyer split, which was funny.
Yeah, she's like, where did the lawyer go?
I think, did the lawyer split? And I was on.
Yeah. Oh, split, because he actually does. That's funny.
There you go.
Ah, jeez. Sorry. I don't get that old humor.
Oh, yeah. Bobby's now downstairs where the ghosts are kept, and more trapdoors are opening. He's walking and looking and hears laughing. Dennis is telling the family about how the entire basement is filled with ghosts as Bobby runs into ghosts that are being released, such as the bound woman and a human torso. Let me tell you which one I hate the most.
Traumatized me.
I hate the human torso the most.
But I mean, imagine it being from his point of view.
You're a little
like
kid
5.
and you see that and it's screaming.
Yeah.
It can't hurt you, but that'd be enough for me. I just died of a heart attack from seeing this human torso thing sitting there moving towards me. I'm done.
And the head was on the ground.
Yeah,
too.
going.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. No. Dennis is trying to explain that the spells written around the house are how what keep the ghosts in. How it works and everything like that.
Spells and
but
such.
nobody's listening to him.
No.
Arthur goes on to go downstairs, but Dennis freaks out and tells him not to do it.
So
he's like, "Are you been listening to me?"
Would you have believed him? I'm gonna say, like I said before, with the house, if I'm pulling up into this house, entering this house, and everything's, the windows and they're covered in weird Latin types, and this man starts telling me that there's ghosts in the house and that this is what keeps them downstairs in the basement, I'm not going to the basement.
No, I wouldn't either. But at the same time, what the heck? I mean, why are you... He just sounds like a crazy person.
Yes.
And he's acting all freaky and he's flipping out all over the place and everything like that. And dude, what are you even here for? I don't get you.
But,
so settle down, please. And I got to find my son. I got to go look for him. This is obviously where he might be.
I'm just sorry, son. You're down there now.
Sorry. This is where you are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, but when I go down, if it was one of y'all and I'm looking for y'all, yes. If I was just me.
If you were Maggie.
Probably not. No, I probably want to be leaving.
No.
I'm good.
So far in the movie, was this, was it scary to you yet, or
when the doors are opening and the other ones are popping out? I mean, having seen it before and known it, whatever, but having the new ghosts show up and see them looking at you and everything like that, it was freaky,
but scary.
No. Yeah,
no. Right now, at this point, I wasn't really scared. Because they kind of show you like exactly what's happening as it happens. With the one girl, even before they kept flashing back to her in the bathroom, you could see that she was there. There was no sudden like pop up or anything that was going to be able to happen.
Right.
It was just like, oh, is she going to kill?
Right. Is she going to kill her or not?
Yeah. It wasn't really scary. It was just more creepy to me. It's like you said, freaky. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So Arthur offers to pay Dennis whatever his uncle was going to pay him if he will help him find Bobby. So he does. And then he heads down into the basement. So he's obviously just a money grubber. Bobby, who had knocked himself out trying to escape from the torso and the bound woman and everything like that he saw, hears his mother's voice telling him to get out of the basement. He then puts on the glasses and sees her coming towards him. He also sees Cyrus and then look to get yoinked up by something. Like, yeah, he's just
snatched.
Yoinked. Yeah,
it was really weird.
Arthur, that's so hard for me. Arthur says that the place is too big to search altogether, so they split into two teams. Which no,
I mean,
I get it
realistically,
but no. I mean,
they had two pairs of glasses,
right?
So you can't split up at fours,
but no, anyway.
I mean, cover more ground.
Stay all together. No, it's not that big.
Well, you're in these small corridors.
It's only so big.
Look, and you have four of us. If there's a ghost here, these three people are screwed.
I guess.
Because they're waiting for you to move. You want to be in the back? You're going to slow everybody down.
I want to be in the middle somewhere.
The middle's... Yeah.
The best. Dennis and Maggie find the doors have been opened, and Maggie actually sees the ghost for the first time. She sees the hammer. Dennis describes the different ghosts and how they are always around, but that most of them don't want to hurt you. But sometimes there are ones that do.
Which was strange to me, because there only seemed like there were two that didn't want to hurt them. Seemed like everybody else wanted to hurt them.
Well, I mean, the torso didn't want to really do anything to you.
Well, that we know of. He was just going towards the kid.
Right. I mean, the bound woman really couldn't.
No, she was just there.
Bouncing up and down horribly.
Fair. I'll count that as one.
The mother...
The mom, yeah, okay.
I don't know that the child and the
that's
small
a possible
mom really
intent. You don't know. So
everybody else seemed to want to hurt you.
Yeah, they seemed that everybody had an intent to harm.
Yeah. The prince guy looked really eager to hurt somebody with that bat.
I liked him.
Of course you did.
What's that supposed to mean? He was interesting.
Yeah.
He had a bat?
Yeah, that's all it takes.
He had a cool jacket?
Dennis then catches a glimpse of himself being jacked up by the ghost and looks a bit concerned about it.
He had a lot of powers. He had a premonition thing like this.
Yeah.
And then he had I'll touch you and get all your knowledge thing. And then being able to see ghosts as well or feel them.
Yeah, he was
touching the ground and such.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of goes into talking about that, about himself when he's talking later in the movie.
Right, but he had a lot going on. Like a lot going on. So.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really do much with his flash forward premonition thing. He kind of just dismisses it.
Right.
So, which I would not have dismissed.
Dismissed.
Okay, Arthur.
I know. Arthur and Kathy come across Bobby's recording device and rewind it, hearing him screaming for Arthur. And he's like, Dad! Ah! And so he's all freaked out about that, which, fair. You should be.
Yeah.
Dennis is looking at all the open cages and finds that the jackal has been released, and he describes it as Manson, the Manson of ghosts. And you get that reference? Charles Manson? You know about him?
I know of him.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, he's not
I think
a good guy.
isn't he trying to like summon the devil and such?
He's not a good guy.
All right, we'll just leave it there then.
We then find that Arthur and Kathy walking, and Arthur says there are no such things as ghosts just before Kathy gets dragged off and attacked by none other than the jackal.
Yeah, which was awful.
Yeah.
It was terrifying.
It was coming at
she
her,
was.
man.
I mean, she was spooky. If there's any of these ghosts I don't want to get into a fight with, it's gonna be the jackal.
The jackal's a guy. Just so you know.
Oh, what?
Just had crazy
Really?
hair. Yeah, it was a guy.
Oh,
It was a man.
my bad.
No, don't be my man about it.
I thought they said it was a girl.
I'm pretty sure it's a dude. It's messing her up pretty bad when Kalina runs around the corner with a flare-looking thing and chucks it at the jackal, causing it to disappear. You looking it up?
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah, it was a guy.
Cool.
Yeah.
These are actual people.
Yeah.
They're based on. I think that was cool. I've never heard of the Black Zodiac before. Have you?
Other than this movie, no.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Maggie and Dennis are walking and run into a young boy that has an arrow in his head. Kathy, Arthur, and Kalina are still being chased by the jackal, but one of the glass doors shuts, blocking it from getting to them. So that was like how they got away. Dennis and Maggie also run into the knife-wielding ghost girl, who almost stabs Maggie, but Dennis guides her where to move to.
Yeah, and that's when I was like, oh, so she doesn't hate just men. She also doesn't
She's
like
just
men.
stabby.
So she's just stabby. So the bathroom scene made less sense to me after this.
Same. Kalina explains to Arthur and Kathy who she is, and that she frees trapped souls, and that she is there to save them and free the souls. She shows them a book called the Arcanon that describes how to build a machine that allows you to see into the future that is powered by the dead. At some point, Kathy runs off or something because she's just gone, which I thought was really weird that all of a sudden she just disappeared.
Dipped.
But whatever. Dennis and Maggie get separated as the house shifts again and another trap door opens. Dennis starts to get beat up by a ghost with a bat, but a door opens and he is able to get away. That was lucky.
Yep.
And that's the prince.
The Torn Prince.
The Torn Prince. Arthur and Kalina are trying to reach the library as it is a safe zone, according to Kalina. She says it's got all around it. It's all the safe spells.
Yeah.
Blocking the ghosts. At that point, if you tell me that, I'm getting there and never leaving.
Yeah, I'm not going.
I don't understand why, if you did make it to that part, why you would leave that room. But whatever. Maggie and Dennis run into another set of ghosts that look to be a giant baby and a little mother.
Yeah.
Kalina is about to get a piece of the floor above moved, and she and Arthur escaped through it. But then the hammer's door opens. The ghost,
right, which was suspenseful.
Yeah, he's running at Arthur like full speed.
Yeah.
And almost hits him with his hammer hand.
Do you have any, like, I don't want you to skip to the trivia, but, like, do you know anything about how this was filmed? Like, did they actually, like, how did they do the glass, did they build a glass house?
Oh, I don't know.
In certain scenes, you can see, like, the outside, and, like, there's trees moving and such,
Yep.
so it seems like it's really, like, an actual house.
Yeah, I don't have that, I don't know, but, I mean, I'm sure that they built a set that was all glass like that, because, they're walking around in it and everything like that, so... Yeah.
It was just neat to me.
Kalina leads them all to the library, so they make it there. But before they do, Arthur gets attacked by the jackal.
Yeah.
But she was getting jacked up by that thing. The jackal jack you up.
See, right before this is what I was talking about with the weird section of showing the house.
Yeah.
And
it was just. Yeah.
It was really weird to me. But yeah, poor Arthur's back, because it gets roughed up.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He gets jacked up. Another ghost comes to attack, but they're able to get to the library and close the door. It wasn't the bound woman, it was the heretic or something. I can't remember.
They show that one in the trailer as well.
Yeah.
As having a bigger part.
Nah,
So
she doesn't.
she was there for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Kalina and Dennis get into a fight about how this is Dennis's fault by helping Cyrus to collect a ghost and build the house like he did. They also tell Arthur about who the 12 ghosts are that are trapped in the house, and that it is one of them is his wife.
Fourth ghost.
Yeah, the 4th ghost is.
Here's a pop quiz. What was their room number in their house? Their apartment number?
I don't know. What was it?
Number 6.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Just a little thing I remembered just now. I almost wrote it down and was like, "Woo, what's this? Did you pay enough attention?" You didn't.
No, I did not. Arthur hits and attacks Dennis for what he did, because Dennis was there to take his wife. And he's like, I didn't know he had a husband.
Which I guess is another one of his powers, was to be able to lure spirits away.
Yeah.
So unless he just went up to her and killed her.
No, she was already dead or dying.
But she had a chance.
So I don't know how I mean, that's just to assume that once you die, you're just sitting there by your dead body, and then somebody can come and take you in a box.
And also, you have to, I guess, it wouldn't make sense. You have to be, I guess, it's certain circumstances, because if all the ghosts had this ability, they'd be able to interact with the living constantly.
Right.
And that's not the case here, because they weren't, not everyone's constantly harassed by ghosts trying to kill them, so.
Right. Right. Don't dig too deep. It's just a movie.
Just a movie.
So, Kalina tells of the Black Zodiac, which are representations of earthbound spirits needed to run the machine. And this is who they are.
Yeah, pretty much the explanation part of the movie.
Yep.
Letting them know what's going on, what's what, and how to defeat it.
Yep.
So.
It's the firstborn son, the torso, the bound woman, the withered lover, the torn prince, the angry princess, the pilgrimess, the great child and the dire mother, the hammer, the jackal, and the juggernaut. This is all according to the person who wrote the book, Baelius. I think that's how you said it. Baelius.
I don't remember.
If this is done, then the eye to hell will open. And this allows the person who controls it to see the future, the past, heaven, and hell, and have all knowledge. And since knowledge equals power,
they'd have a lot of power.
That they would have all the power. And that's what the uncle wanted. Dennis says that Cyrus mentioned the 13th ghost, and Kalina says that it's a broken heart and that it's a failsafe to stop the machine by sacrificing itself by jumping into the machine and destroying it.
So basically telling them he had to die.
Wow, you almost just read what I have. So basically she tells Arthur that he has to jump into the machine to trade his life for his children's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dennis tries to change Arthur's mind about killing himself, but Arthur has no time for him, and he doesn't trust him anymore at all. He's like, you can...
Right, he's like, you did this, you ruined my family. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, so...
Yep. So Dennis offers to go with Arthur to look for the kids one last time by taking a piece of the glass from the library wall that has the writing of the, on it as a bit of a barrier.
Which ruins the room from being safe, so...
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Not staying there anymore.
Maggie and Kalina go down to the basement to do something which, heck, I'm not leaving the library. I think they're going down there because she's going to set bombs.
I think that's what they were saying.
Is what she was going to do. Maggie and Kalina find the lawyer split in half, and then they reach the machine. So I guess Kalina was saying she was going to go rig the explosives down on the machine, and in the event that Arthur fails. I think that's what we were doing. So Arthur and Dennis battle it out with the prince as Maggie and Kalina run into what looks like Cyrus's ghost. But then Kalina bashes Maggie in the head with a book, and we find that Cyrus is not dead.
So at this point, I was shocked. Because I remember that the Kalina girl goes... This is how I remember the ending. I remember that she goes in to the clock room.
Yeah.
By herself with the book, and has to, read something out.
Okay.
And, reads out a magical something. And, pretty much puts it into it. And then everything, happens and, it ends. And then she's like everyone's like, oh, good ending. She's, crying. And she's, exhausted. And that's how I remember it ending.
Different movie, I guess. Completely
not what happened.
Wow, weird.
So, but I remember the weird, clock mechanism thing in the center that spins really fast. I remember that. So that's why it shocked me so bad, because I was like, what?
Wow.
Because then she like started making out with a dude, and I was like, oh, so I guess the guy at the beginning wasn't her boyfriend.
No.
So
No, Cyrus is not dead. The whole thing was a setup, basically.
I thought he was still dead at this point.
No. Kalina even admits to killing her partner and keeping Arthur alive. That's what she was. She's like, I kept your nephew alive and everything like that.
Dang.
Yeah, and she's the one who killed the partner. So when he was dead, he killed him, acted like the other one was dead, blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
Cyrus seems mad at first, but then Kalina gives him the recording he was looking for, and he seems happy that everything is coming together.
You know, it was weird to me that, no, I guess it does make sense. Though. It was just strange that he had, like, the little cut on his neck, like he had died.
Yeah.
But I guess that was to keep front.
Exactly. We then find that the hammer is free and coming for them. Dennis traps Arthur behind the glass and goes to face the hammer.
Yeah, which was really weird to me.
Yeah, he put him in a corner. Do something, but he's just like, I'm done. I think he was done.
Yeah.
So he faced the hammer, who jacks him up, and then the Juggernaut comes and beats him to death, as he foresaw what would happen in his premonition. So that was his premonition.
Bodied him.
Oh my gosh, he puts him up against the thing and
bends him in half.
like bends him in half. Yeah.
It's like Gumbied.
Gumbied.
It was horrible.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I've never heard somebody get Gumbied before.
That's what happened.
Nice.
No, rough.
So, meanwhile, Cyrus tells Kalina to put Arthur's kids in jeopardy so that Arthur will sacrifice himself, because she was like, I'm still not sure that he's convinced that he has to jump in here. So she's like, well, make him. Yeah. Cyrus plays a spell over the speaker, and all the ghosts start to follow its instructions. Jean's ghost, I'll get it the third time, shows up and looks to try and comfort Arthur, but then disappears as well due to the chanting spell. Cyrus sees that everything is in motion, and then sets a trap that squishes Kalina pretty gruesomely.
It was rough. When she died, I was like, yeah, okay, so my ending never happened.
Yeah, she got mushed.
She got mushed.
I mean, mushed ugly, too.
Yeah. And not even all the way where it, like, explodes.
No.
Like, they just left her there.
All right, that's still going to be there.
Yeah.
We then find that the kids have been tied up in the middle of the machine, and Arthur realizes what is going on with the ghosts and that his uncle is not dead, because he's playing it back in his mind. He's like, hold up a second. 12. I'm 13. Who are you? He takes the glasses off and he's like, "Blah, ha, ha, ha. I see that you're not dead." So he sees and attacks Cyrus, but Arthur gets beat down pretty bad by Cyrus, who holds him at knife point.
Yeah, and then he's all like, "You stupid weak man, you're
you're nothing."
Yeah, and I was like, man, what kind of? I bet the Thanksgiving must have been really awkward.
You want to carve the turkey? I'll carve you. Oh,
yeah. Oh man.
He tells Arthur that he gets to be the 13th ghost, and that he will make him leap, and you're going to do it one way or the other. Which I'm kind of like, well, if you're forced, does it still have the same effect?
It's not a sacrifice.
It's not really
anymore.
A sacrifice, but it's a movie. But then Maggie starts to mess with the recording. It's like beatboxing. They're like
to save the day, which was really nice.
Right. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
The machine, she starts playing with the machine controls as well, which frees the ghosts from the trance, because they had all formed on the machine due to that.
In their spots. And
and their spots on the Zodiac. The ghosts then attack Cyrus and throw him into the machine, which was gruesome, and I liked it because he was still screaming when his head went by.
Yeah.
Dennis's ghost then shows up and says to Arthur, "It's still not over."
I like this. I like that he showed up.
Yeah, and that Arthur has the power to make the leap to save his kids. So as the house starts to blow up, Arthur leaps into the machine at the right time and shields the kids. With the house explodes and all the walls come down and everything like that, and the spirits escape the house, and Dennis's ghost seems to be freed as well, which I thought was nice. He gets to go be free. He in the end, he wasn't just a money grubbing kid. He actually did the right thing. Jean is still there, but is no longer all burned up looking.
Nope.
And they hear her say that she loves them, and then she disappears as well. So they embrace as Maggie is talking to herself about how none of this was in the nanny job description, and that she quits. So I guess she was the nanny. Is what I wrote, because I genuinely did not know. I thought she was just what's her name's friend.
No, I'm pretty
the
sure
whole time.
Like I said, I think they mentioned it a couple of times.
Yeah,
but...
I missed until I heard that this is what I pay you for thing, and I was like, okay, I guess she's something. But it just made me. If you're so broke and bad off.
Why? Yeah.
Why do you have a nanny when the daughter's clearly taking on this motherly role
and is old enough to take care of the other? Yeah,
old enough. You need a nanny. So,
like I said, you could just have that extra person there,
right? You needed well, they needed her to be able to save at the end with the whole beatbox and the music and all that stuff.
So,
your overall thoughts on the movie?
It wasn't really a scary movie, but it had an interesting plot line. Okay. I wish that the family dynamic was a little bit more real. To a sense, they didn't feel like a family to me. It just felt like a group of people. Except I felt like the dad was truly a dad. He felt like a dad, but like the kids, it just didn't really feel good to me. It wasn't great. Good. Who was your favorite character?
Dennis. Dennis was my favorite character.
It was hard for me to decide between Dennis and Maggie because I liked them both a lot. Yeah. But Dennis, his character in the beginning for me was kind of weird, and his acting wasn't fully great.
See, I'm a Matthew Lillard fan, and I think that he really has caught the shaft from Hollywood. I think that he got the role of the sidekick from Scream, and I don't think he ever escaped it. I mean, literally, he was in this role here, but then, he played in the Scooby-Doo movies. Well, he played Shaggy. What's Shaggy? A sidekick. He was in Battlestar Galactica, I think it was, or whatever. And he was a sidekick. He was in other movies, and he's kind of a side character or a sidekick. He doesn't get to be... Yeah. He was in a movie called SLC Punk, which was Salt Lake City Punk, and he was the main character in that, but it wasn't a strong movie. He does not seem to... He never seemed to turn into that kind of character player. And I think that's sad because I think I really like his acting. I think that he's funny.
I think he's funny. I like him. It wasn't there for me with like certain, like when he was doing his little seizure moments and everything. Yeah, it was just weird to me.
I got you.
But I liked Maggie overall, so I think I picked her as my favorite character. Oh, who was your least favorite?
The daughter.
That was
Kathy.
mine too.
Because she wasn't dealing with the situation well. She was in a lot of denial, I guess you'd say. Your mom just died, but she's kind of like, I'm more worried about the fact that we're living in crap.
Yeah.
Any way that we can live back where we did and have a normal life again.
I know my mom just died. And you're working like 7 jobs.
Yeah, you're doing your best, but hey, it's not good enough. So hey, can you've got a nanny for us. So obviously you're at least trying to make sure we're taken care of, but
yeah.
So yeah,
what's your favorite scene?
Favorite scene would probably be when the lawyer gets cut in half or when Kalina gets smooshed. Those two scenes are probably tied for me.
Mine was the bathroom scene. I like that one the most.
Really?
I like to yeah.
I got you.
Bonus question, your favorite ghost?
Ooh.
Favorite ghost.
My favorite ghost, I'll tell you who my least favorite ghost is. Okay. The torso.
Yeah.
Because that thing scares the bejesus out of me, and I don't know why. I just really hate it. I hate that it yells and screams like it does. It just really freaks me out. My favorite would probably be the baby, the giant baby guy. Yeah, I think that's funny. And the dire mother.
I like them. Mine was the Torn Prince.
Oh, obviously.
I liked
least favorite.
Least favorite, probably the baby. I didn't like that one. It was weird. They just sat there and it was gross.
Yeah, I didn't like that they just sat there and looked at you and you kind of heard like a baby noise going like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like,
that's a great baby noise.
That's how you all sounded. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you didn't cry.
I would punt the baby. Out the window you go.
Yeah, when you were babies, you were just, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, okay, it's time to feed Beth.
Put a pillow over my head. Oh. True. It's all the time was to feed Beth.
Yes. Literally always feeding me. So how many moos do you give the movie?
I give it a 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5 is not bad. No. I would also give it a 3 out of 5.
It wasn't fantastic in any sense. I mean, it was interesting enough to get the 3.
It's the kind of movie that if it's on, I'll watch it.
watch
I'll
it.
leave it on. Or if like I'm flipping through channels and there's nothing else on, like to me, it's kind of like Twister. When Twister's on, you know what? Put it on and
I
watch
can't
it.
watch
I've
that
seen
movie.
it so many times.
They play that movie every year in my science class.
Well, that's a different story that you can't watch.
I cannot watch that movie.
But,
I literally know that movie like the back of my hand, and for horrible reasons.
And like Titanic will be on sometimes, and we'll
never seen that movie.
We'll leave Titanic on just because I can leave it on. Take and leave it. If baseball comes on, I can flip it over. Whatever. But
true.
What?
A movie that comes on and I just can't leave it on, not because it's a bad movie, but because I just can't handle it. Is A Walk to Remember.
It's not like he dies.
No, but it feels like they die. Their love dies. Well, I don't want to talk about it. It's gonna make me want to watch it. A movie that I have to keep on whenever Dirty Dancing comes on, I have to leave that on.
Yeah.
I have to watch that movie all the way through. Same thing with The Notebook. I have to just watch it.
Oh, how dare you! How dare you! Blasphemy with the freaking Notebook. That movie's so
sad.
It was. I felt like
I cry every single time.
Like a waste of time. Like here's this whole thing, and they finally get it, and then it's too bad she's losing her mind now, and then they die. She's losing her, and then they die. But they die together. But then, and he gets those brief moments of clarity with her, but they're getting less and less. And no, he's not, because he has it just for a second, and then she's all of a sudden she doesn't know what's going on, and she's scared, and he's sitting there and he's crying.
It's hard.
And it's James Garner, and then he goes back down. That's a tough. Oh man, no, I can't do it. Every day I sit and I read to her, and the kids come and visit, and she doesn't know any of the kids and the
It's sad. No. It's your walk to remember.
Yeah, although that one's a tough one too. That's tough. That's a pretty tough movie.
That's the one I have to sit and watch it from the beginning and go through for it to really hit me.
Oh,
but
because of his change, because it changes a person,
right?
And see, when he goes back and he talks to the dad, and now him and the dad are friends and everything like that, I'm like, oh, this dad couldn't stand this boy, and now these two are friends, and they have a bonding moment and everything. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough movie.
He gives him the book. It's sad.
All right.
Sad. A violin starts playing in the background.
Yes,
I'm weepy.
Would you recommend this movie to a friend?
Yeah. It'd be one of those things where we're watching cheesy movies. Let's just watch movies that we can just watch to watch, and this be one of them. But if I was having a serious horror thing, no, not be one of the ones I would recommend to include. So,
top movies that you would recommend for a horror movie, then, off your top of your head.
Okay. Oof. This is how you gonna hit
top
somebody?
One. I'll hit you with top one. What's your top one movie that right now that you can think of that would be a horror movie that you're gonna do?
Well, I mean, right now all I want to watch is Scream. I've been wanting to watch it for months because I haven't seen it. But it's hard to remember horror movie. Huh?
It's a different kind of horror movie.
Right, but that's why I want to watch it, because it's still. Let me just see. Because there'll be one that I'll see yeah, that was good. Oh, have you seen Scary Stories told the movie they did for that? Told in the Dark? What a letdown. We went and saw that in the dang Oh, I want to watch Midsummer. I hear that's really good. Let me think. Horror is such a hard, because it really is a spectrum. I mean, even looking at all these, you just have such a variety of things.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. We talked about the other one. That doesn't really scare me. That's more creepy, because I'm not really afraid. I'm not really afraid of clowns.
Right.
A Quiet Place was not really scary. That one was really sad. It made you anxious. You weren't sure what was going on next, but it wasn't necessarily scary.
Can't think of anything.
I'm sure I will later. I'm just trying to think of things that really scare me, because again, I'm not someone who watches a lot of movies now, because things don't really do it for me anymore. The Saw movies I never wanted to watch because I don't like gore. I don't really like
See, I don't think they're horror movies.
The
Those are like psychological gore movies. I mean,
yeah,
like,
the tearing of skin makes me want to vomit, and that's all that
there's a lot of that
movie
going
is.
on in
And
there.
like pulling off fingernails and everything like that. I have to pause the movie and get off of it.
And
I don't like that.
having to,
I
like,
literally can't watch that.
the guy cuts off part of his neck
But
because he has to see his number, so he like takes a knife and like saws it off.
Thinking about it too much really freaks me out.
I'm gonna tell you what. You don't have to give me anything, but I'm gonna hope that when you watch,
what's yours?
Poltergeist.
What's your second? What's your top 5? Yeah, 5.
Oh man, that's tough.
How you gonna ask me and be like, oh no, that's tough. I cannot answer it.
I don't know.
Thriller.
Because I'm not really scared like that.
There's just not a lot that do it for me.
Like, The Shining has a lot, but that's such a psychological horror type thing. I mean, that dude goes crazy, and the stuff that's happening to them.
Yeah.
And then to really get into that movie, like really start to like delve into it and stuff, is crazy. Like, there's like time transfer going on in that movie, and all kinds of it's crazy. Like, the book and the movie, 2 different things.
I don't like watching The Grudge or like The Ring. Because they got the freaky movements and everything.
The freaky movement does it for me.
Paranormal Activity was a big part of my childhood. Because those every time one of those came out, those were the ones that you guys rented on Netflix. But those aren't really scary to me anymore. Because they weren't really.
There was a movie, Creep Show. Creep Show was pretty bad. Creep Show was
I think I know what you're talking. I think I know
bad with the roaches.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
And then there was one that was I can't think of it, but this thing had horrible little teeth and
that's enough. Just say that. If you're listening and you have a top 5 favorite horror movies, send them in.
That'd be great. Yeah, man. Email us your top 5 horror movies to the Yesteryear Podcast.
Doesn't matter about the time.
Don't care
about the year. Just send them in.
Just give us.
I'm interested.
And maybe even write up a little story of why.
Hey, this is my. Here.
That's a crazy movie.
Yeah. Ugh.
Man, I can't think of it.
I really can't. There's one movie that really has stuck with me forever because of how it's it was on Netflix for a really long time. I don't know if it does anymore. I think it's like a number like the 12 or the 16 or something like that. But they go down and I hate that thing. You shared that on the group, and I don't know what it's from. But
Trilogy of Terror, 1975.
That little thing is creepy.
Yes, my sisters and my mother will know. The little doll with a fetish doll. A Zuni fetish doll. And the little tag falls off of it. You're not supposed to remove, and she does. And that little thing comes after her and stabbing her and is biting her and everything like that. It's creepy.
Well, anyways, what I was saying was that there's like 12 of them or something like that, and they're stuck in this room together, and a guy comes in and he's like, you have to pick one person to be eliminated every time because everyone has a sin or something that they've done, and they have to tell him the truth or whatever, and if he's telling the truth then they die or something like that. Well, it gets to the point where, or this may be a mix of 2 movies, but they get thrown into this other room where they have to like produce enough pain on this little meter to get like let out. And it turns out that the guy that was running the whole thing was in there with him.
Yeah.
And he goes through and he kills everybody anyways. And it's insane. I was watching and I was like, that was really weird. I don't know if it was scary, but it was definitely
right.
Watching it at the time.
I think that's really my thing with scary. Because the word, you want to watch scary movies? Like, when I was a kid, I hated zombie movies. Because like Night of the Living Dead was scary to me because they were trapped in that thing and they were surrounded by dead people, and all the dead people want to do is eat your brains, and you're not going to be dead when they start eating you, and that sounds horrible to me. Now, sounding horrible and being scared, I don't know if they're the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think zombie movies really do it for me either, because we watched The Walking Dead for such a long time, and that kind of, I think, it's ruined it for me.
Yeah.
Zombies, the whole concept. Which is funny, because I'm someone, like, I don't think I'd be scared by a zombie, in a sense of, like, if we're at, like, a horror park, and, like, you're coming up to me, you're like, roar, yeah, but I am, like, scared of tree bark.
Tree bark.
I have a fear of tree bark, because, insects are on tree bark, so I don't like going near tree bark, because insects But I'd rather take zombies on than insects.
Wow.
I hate when there's insects in movies. In the horror movies, they like have maggots and such. Ugh, it makes my skin
maggots.
crawl.
I can do without.
Shoot, there was another Slither. Or is that what it's called? Slither.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Slither.
That's another one that comes to mind whenever I think of
worms.
horror, but it's not really. That movie's not really scary. It's more of a ew.
Yeah. Yeah, horror's a funny genre to me. Like, all of the Night of the Living Deads, not Night of the Living, stinking, Nightmare on Elm Street are considered horror. But I don't know that I would consider that. I mean, I guess that's horror. But, I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, there were times when I was younger and I was a kid, there were things that definitely scared me. But nowadays,
there's certain movies different. I refuse to watch, like Silent Hill. I will not watch one of those movies.
That was a freaky movie.
Those are freaky. Yeah. And as a kid, that's all I ever heard about them. Freaky movies.
Yeah.
I'm someone who loves horror games. I love watching people play horror games.
Yeah.
I can't play them myself because I won't go anywhere.
No.
Because I can't, I just won't move.
This is a safe room.
But, like the Resident Evil games.
Yeah.
Or the Oculus Rift games.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
See, I'm going to tell you.
So good.
There are video games that are scarier than movies.
I will agree with that. And absolutely.
There have been times when I've been playing, like there was a game called Scissor Man.
Oh.
It was the Clock Tower Murders, and it had Scissor Man in it. And you'd be sitting there, and all of a sudden you'd hear the music go, and you're like, oh my God, he's coming. And it's Clock Tower Murders.
That's what I think. It's what this.
Yeah, and so you'd have to pick a place. Geez. You'd have to pick a place to hide.
Yeah.
But he would find you, and all of a sudden you'd be under the couch, and he would just go stab you down, and you're dead. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is horrible.
This game looks intense.
That I'm telling you, man, he would find you. Yeah, see that stuff going on. And you have no weapons.
No,
you're just you're just a little kid.
Yeah, no, I hate
things like that. Like, you just remember those movies, like, on all you are the games, and all you have is a camera, and you have to
or a flashlight.
The
camera. I think those are the Oculus game.
Yeah.
Game. I think that is the one with the camera.
Is it?
Why isn't it showing me?
Well, it's fine. But yeah, that right there. I really hated that. All you had was a camera. Dead Space, the original Dead Space, when you go out into space and the noise on the video game, because you're in the vacuum of space, actually goes away, and then a monster comes out, you can't hear it.
Yeah, no.
Horrible. So, anyway, back to this. Bit of trivia?
Awesome. Yeah, I did that while I looked this up.
All right. So, the effect for the torso ghost was achieved using a double amputee wearing a special black hood that could also that could digitally remove his head.
Oh wow!
So that was really a real guy in a suit, a double amputee. I thought that's pretty cool. Of all the creatures, makeup created for the film, the angry princess required the longest time to apply at 5 hours.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, that makes sense.
Yep. So Duncan MacLeod, his dragon head katana from Highlander, the series, it was in 1992, appears as one of the swords in Cyrus's collection. Now, you're not going to know who Duncan MacLeod is, and you're not going to know what the Highlander series is, but it's an awesome series. It's where they cut off their heads because there can be only one, and then the quickening happens and they stay young.
Of course.
The Withered Lover is the fourth ghost of the Black Zodiac, and this is what I thought you were going to say about the door. She is seen walking with an IV with her, and IV is the Roman numeral that equals 4. It's pretty cool.
I guess. That's kind of crap.
Oh. The special effects and sound mixings were so elaborate in the film that many people claim that the movie was physically painful to sit through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like they literally were like uncomfortable by the stuff that was going on in this movie.
That's a little excessive, if you ask me.
Yeah. So, did you find what you were looking for?
I think maybe. I'm trying to see. I think there's another Outlast. Yeah.
Outlast.
Ah,
yes, that game Outlast where the thing is walking around and it's like
and you
green,
have a camera.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, we have that game.
Yeah, I don't like it. I can't play it. But also in Resident Evil 7, there's a little bit with cameras sometimes. So that's also what I was
There was
thinking
a game what is the game that you're the little person and you're in the giants have you and you're running across the
Little
the
Nightmares?
plates. Is that the one that I posted?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh,
oh my
I
gosh,
love
this
that game. Love that game.
Bruh, things like that.
That game's
I got
intense.
no time for whatsoever.
Did you know that like at the ending it's like insane because you go through and you like eat the. Have you seen the bonus stuff?
No, man, I'm not gonna sit here and watch that right now. We're doing this.
No, I didn't even watch. I mean, I'm just asking if you've seen it. I love this game, the little gnomes and such.
Nice. All right. Do you have anything else?
No, there were some stuff like quizzes on like, oh, which ghost are you? But it wasn't anything like good, and it wasn't like enough. It was pretty much one of those like, are you a woman? Do you like knives? You're the bloody princess. No, it was just lame.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm glad you didn't.
It wasn't anything that I wanted to.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up tonight. I'd like to thank everyone for stopping by and listening to our 17th episode. We do deeply, deeply appreciate it, more than you can imagine. And of course, the best way to say you love us is to give us a 5-star review on iTunes. We did get a new one from ADC++. It says, excellent podcast, buddies. James and Beth reviewing the greatest movies of yesteryear with insight from 2 totally different generations is hilarious and entertaining from start to end. Keep it up. ++ADC++. If you could please do me a favor and email me your address or your contact information so that we can send you a sticker for giving us a review, I would greatly appreciate it. So, other than that, we haven't had any other reviews or emails of any. We get emails, but nothing of like questions. I would like to get some questions in. That would be cool, so we can read them on the episode. So, what is that? TeePublic? Oh man, hold on a second. I'm sorry about that. I want to make sure and talk about this on teepublic.com/user/the Yesteryear Podcast. That's me. If you go to teepublic.com and you look us up, Yesteryear, or you look up Smeep, which is our logo guy, or if you just look up Yesteryear, we have a store, which is really cool. And you can get merch that has our logo on it. You can get all kinds. I got a phone case that's coming. You can get a mask if you want to have that. You can have a t-shirt. And I put all of our logo stuff up there to be able to be turned into stuff. I thought that would be pretty cool. So definitely hit us up. Let us know if you, hey, I bought a shirt, or hey, I did this. If you want to. You don't have to. But it's just another way that you can support the show and, get our name out there. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, I actually just remembered. Fun fact of today's episode. Here we go. Because I did one last episode. Is that in Switzerland, it is illegal to own just one guinea pig.
So you either have to have 2 or none. Or 2 or more, or none.
Yeah, I guess so. This is because guinea pigs are social animals, and they are considered victims of abuse if they are alone.
That's so sad. That's so sad.
So,
all right.
If you own just one guinea pig, just know you're breaking the law in Switzerland.
Yeah, don't do that. I also want to give a shout out, of course, to all of our listeners, America, France, everything like that. But we have a lot of listeners down in Mexico, like the area of Mexico. I can't go into all of that. I think that's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
So, hello. Thank you for listening. So, of course, you can email us at the yesteryearpodcast@gmail.com, twitter.com/yesteryearpcast, Instagram.com/yesteryearpodcast. Our Facebook is facebook.com/yesteryearpodcast. We do have our private group. I would love for more people to join up the group. We put a lot of content in there. We put a lot of, we do have contests and other things that we do. If you do, it's the Truffle Shufflers is how you can find us on Facebook. That's the name of the group, the Truffle Shufflers, all one word. Our secret question is the host names, which is James and Beth. Our website right now is yesteryearpodcast.buzzsprout.com. Our Patreon is www.patreon.com/the nostalgia group. Of course, a shout out to Greg Revan for all of our music that he does for us. I really appreciate it. And unless you have anything else, I'd like to say good night, Beth.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.